Today, we're going to delve into the story of the Battle of Salamis, the most significant naval encounter of the Greco-Persian Wars. After the Greek defeat at Thermopylae, the remaining Greek triremes sailed south to Salamis to protect the city of Athens. Without any barriers left between Athens and the Persian land forces, it was announced that every Athenian should do their best to save their families. Some citizens sought refuge in Salamis or the Peloponnese, while some men joined the crews of the returning triremes. When King Xerxes and his army reached Athens, they found the city empty of civilians, with only a symbolic defense remaining at the Acropolis. The Persians quickly took control of Athens and set it ablaze. Now, Xerxes had to deal with the remaining Greek ships. He needed to destroy them or leave a significant force to contain Themistocles' ships before he could conquer the Peloponnese and end the Greek campaign. It seemed most likely that Xerxes would opt for the former, as leaving the Greek fleet behind would leave his own ships vulnerable to a flank attack. On August 29, the Persian fleet, consisting of around 500 ships, appeared off Phaleron Bay and entered the Bay of Salamis. The Greeks had assembled a reserve fleet at Salamis, and additional triremes from other states joined them, boosting their numbers by about 100 ships. Thus, the combined Greek fleet at Salamis, with approximately 310 ships, was actually larger than it had been at Artemisium. Xerxes and his admirals were reluctant to engage the Greek fleet in the narrow waters of the Salamis Channel. Over the next 2 weeks, the Persians worked on constructing causeways across the channel to reach the island of Salamis without directly confronting the Greek ships. The Persians believed that capturing Salamis, which housed most of the remaining Athenian population and government officials, would lead to the fleet's surrender. However, the massed Greek archers caused significant trouble for the Persian workers, ultimately leading to the abandonment of their causeway building efforts. On September 16 or 17, Xerxes gathered his generals and advisors at Phalerum to discuss the next move. With the exception of Queen Artemisia of Halicarnassus, who commanded her own squadron in the Persian fleet, everyone favored engaging the Greek fleet in a decisive battle. Xerxes then brought forward elements of his fleet from Phalerum, positioning them off the coast of Salamis. Simultaneously, he set part of his massive army in motion towards the Peloponnese, hoping that this action would cause the Greeks in that region to recall their ships from the main fleet and return home. His plan was to isolate and destroy them at his leisure. However, if that failed, Xerxes aimed to provoke a battle in the open waters of the Saronic Gulf of Aegina, where the Persians' superior numbers would give them an advantage. Meanwhile, Themistocles had a different strategy in mind. Learning from the lessons of the Battle of Artemisium, he realized that close-quarters combat would favor the better disciplined Greek forces. Despite facing opposition from his own captains and the potential desertion of the Peloponnesian ships, Themistocles resorted to one of the most famous military stratagems in history. On the early morning of September 19, he sent a trusted slave named Sisinus, who was an Asiatic great, to deliver a letter to the Persians. In the letter, Themistocles informed Xerxes that he had switched sides and now supported a Persian victory. He claimed that the Greeks were deeply divided and would offer little resistance. He also suggested that some elements of the fleet planned to sail away during the following night to join Greek land forces defending the Peloponnese. To prevent this, Themistocles urged Xerxes to engage the Greek ships and not let them escape. While the letter contained some truth and played into Xerxes' desires, it cleverly concealed Themistocles' true intentions of luring the Persian fleet into the narrow waters of the Bay of Salamis. Xerxes, eager not to miss the opportunity, quickly acted upon the information. He ordered Persian squadrons patrolling off Salamis to block all possible Greek escape routes, while the main Persian fleet positioned itself that night. The Persians maintained their positions throughout the night, anticipating a Greek breakout. Themistocles had relied on Xerxes' vanity and his desire to continue the operation he had initiated. As anticipated, the Persian king chose not to break off the operation, falling right into Themistocles' plan. With the stage set, the Greek and Persian fleets faced each other. Xerxes, seated on a throne at the base of Mount Aegaleus on the Attic shore opposite Salamis, observed the unfolding events. In the early morning of September 20th, the entire Persian fleet launched an attack, advancing through the Salamis Channel in a tightly packed formation that left little room for organized retreat if necessary. The specifics of the battle are not well documented, but the Greeks demonstrated superior tactics and seamanship. They skillfully maneuvered to strike the Persian ships from the flanks, taking advantage of the confusion caused by the crowded and narrow waters. Ultimately, the Greeks emerged victorious. According to accounts, the Persians lost around 200 ships, while the defenders only lost about 40. Remarkably, few Greek lives were lost, as most of the sailors were skilled swimmers who made their way to the shore after their ships were disabled. The Greeks, however, remained apprehensive that the Persians might renew the attack. To their relief, the following day revealed that the Persian fleet had vanished. Xerxes had ordered his ships to the Hellespont to protect the bridge there. The Battle of Salamis marked the conclusion of the year's campaign. Xerxes left a substantial portion of his forces in garrisons throughout central and northern Greece, while he led the remaining troops back to Sardis. Unfortunately for the Persians, many soldiers succumbed to diseases like pestilence and dysentery during the journey. The Greco-Persian Wars ultimately reached their conclusion a year later in the Battle of Plataea and the Battle of Mycale.